Hello and welcome to the Eagle Insights podcast. I am your host, Henry Conti, with the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek School District. On this episode, we have Stephenville Elementary kindergarten teacher Jennifer Huff, who's been in this profession for 25 years and is a member of the Teacher Leader Liaison team with the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. We discuss her work with that program as well as the changes she's seen in her time in education. It's a great episode coming up right now. Cue the Eagle. So Jennifer, thank you so much for letting me interview you and being on the Eagle Insights podcast.
Yep, I'm excited.
Tell me, obviously people might not know, but you were my first interview at the district. I did a story called A Seat at the Table, and that's one of the things I definitely want to talk to you about today. So tell me about the Teacher Leader Liaison program that you were involved with the Ohio Department of Education.
So the first year I did it, it was kind of like, what is this about and what are we going to do? And I went to meetings, 2 in person and then the rest were online. And we kind of just learned about the different initiatives and how to enhance student performance, data, how to be a leader. And then the second year I did it, I did even more with groups, became more leadership roles in the school. I helped with SEA, I did help with negotiations, I'm a BIT grade level leader, and so I started doing more kind of leadership with just within my peers within the school. Mm-hmm. But now this year that we're starting it, I've moved up to the ambassador part of it, and I'll actually be facilitating groups, still going to the meetings online and in person, but actually maybe facilitating a small group. I'm giving a presentation on October 9th to the other teacher leaders, and the ambassadors will be there too. And then in June, they have their big summit in Columbus, and I'm thinking I'm going to present at that too. I'm going to wait and see. But gotcha. I need to see how this first presentation goes.
Gotcha. So what's this presentation going to entail?
The first presentation that I'm doing in October is a quick 15-minute presentation on what do you do in your classroom or at your school that you think you could talk about that is something that other people could learn about. Okay. So I'm going to talk about how to facilitate play and learning in the early childhood classroom, how it's so important to still have that play time, discovery time with the kids, but also still keep it academic so you're making sure that they're meeting their gains and hitting the data points and all that stuff. Right. So, which
makes sense as a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
Tell me about that a little bit. Was that I don't remember kindergarten. It was far too long ago. But was the playing and learning in conjunction with one another, was that something that you've kind of always done, or was that a movement to that?
Well, I've been teaching kindergarten for probably, I think, 18-ish years. So when I first started teaching, I taught first grade, and there was some play in there. But when we did kindergarten, it was AM, PM. Mm-hmm. And it was not very academic based hardly at all. I mean, they learned their letters, we sang songs, we did a lot of play stuff. Mm-hmm. And then as we piloted the all day everyday program, which I was one of 2 teachers who piloted that, we knew we needed to probably do a little bit more academic things but still keep the play. And then I feel like now that we have way more that are all day every day, we have 5, sometimes we've had 6. It's just a balance. We still have to meet a lot of data points. We have a lot of programs we have to implement, but still some of these kids are 4 or 5, getting ready to turn 6, and it's all day. So we still need to make sure that it's developmentally appropriate for the kids and that school is fun, but yet we're still integrating it so we're meeting the needs of the kids and making sure that we show growth and progress throughout the year.
Gotcha.
So it's a balancing act. It's hard.
Yeah. I want to get back to the Teacher Leader Liaison, but I find this very interesting, so I'm going to stay here for a minute. I guess what's the biggest change that you've seen? Like you said, 18 years. Let's just talk about kindergarten for a moment. In those 18 years, what's the biggest change that you've seen?
By far, the emotional needs of the kids and the body regulation, emotion regulation. There's stressors that these kids have that they bring to school that we don't see because it's happening at home or outside of school. Being able to make sure that we're modeling and teaching them how what's expected of them, but also meeting them where they are. So for some kids that might be, they might not be ready to even sit in a chair or hold a pencil yet. but yet other kids are already reading books
Mm-hmm.
and writing sentences and stories. So it's just the balancing act of making sure that we're meeting with them where they are. And what's hard about kindergarten is sometimes it's the first time they've ever been in a school setting, and it's the first time that they've been in a structured setting like this. I mean, daycare is daycare and preschool and all that, but it's different when it's the first time. So by the time they go to first grade, we have a little bit more knowledge about how they are.
Right.
So I would say by far the biggest thing is making sure that we're meeting them where they need to be, but also still showing growth, because there's expectations of what they have to be able to do by the time they leave kindergarten.
Gotcha. So 15 years ago, would you say there were 3 or 4 kids in a class that you had to kind of more... Of course, you have to meet all of them where they are, but 3 or 4 in a class, and now it's around half, or, yeah?
I would say maybe it was like 1 or 2 15 years ago, and maybe it would be like 2 or 3 per grade level, and now it's 3 to 4, 6 or 8 per class, definitely.
Gotcha.
And so we try really hard to make sure we get them what they need for help. But when they're here every other day, it's hard. And when some of them are just turning 5, is it development appropriate to be pushing all this stuff on them when they're not ready? So it's a balancing act constantly.
Yeah.
And that's why when they said if I wanted to present, I said, sure, I'll do something about play, because you've probably been asked before, what's something you could talk about for 15 minutes and not have to do a lot of prep for? And I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So back to that program, the Teacher Leader Liaison, I'm interested, what's the biggest thing you've picked up on in doing that?
Well, it's been nice because I have actually gotten a seat at the table. I've been able to sit with small groups of people and actually sit with like the head of the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. Yeah. He has been in several groups that I've sat in on. And the biggest thing they talk about at these groups all the time with the other teachers is achievement and funding, which is funny because we're a very high achieving school district. We don't get a lot of funding, but yet we still kind of have those two things in common, and that's throughout schools. Now, some schools will have other things like attendance issues are a problem, busing is a problem, especially your bigger districts. But when we sit and talk, the biggest thing that they talk about is student achievement, how to continue to have good student achievement, and how is it going to be funded. Because some schools have a lot of money to play with, and they just have to decide how they're going to allocate it. And then some schools have to be very careful and frugal with how they're going to allocate it. And so, but it's funny because across the board, those are the two things. Right. And then also, I would say the third thing would be the social, emotional, mental health of kids in schools.
Gotcha. For
sure. And so I've met, I've sat at the table with small groups with him a couple times before. It's, I'm not like it's been one-on-one, but we've talked. And then this year, before the Teacher Leader Summit, we got invited to the Governor's Mansion and got to go and talk to Mike DeWine, which was very interesting. So,
if you had to start this Teacher Leader Liaison program all over again, having the knowledge of being in it, what would you bring to it, or what would you do anything differently or anything like that?
I think what I would do differently is if I would have had the time, I would like to have gone to other schools in our district or even outside of our district to see what are qualities that I could bring back to my school or my district, because we're so focused here on K-1-2.
Right.
And so it would be nice to have seen how do other schools work and what are their needs that what I can help with. Like I said, I'm a grade level leader. I'm an SEA building rep. I feel like I do really well with helping to lead my peers, but also what could I bring from another school or a district that I hadn't maybe thought of that would be something I could even just change in my own classroom, and then maybe it could trickle to other classrooms and other grade levels. So I wish I would have done something more with that, because when I go to these meetings, it's so diverse, the group, and the grades are so diverse. And so like my big thing is early childhood education and all this stuff, but then other people are more like, oh, well, we're trying to get a handle on behavior, or we're trying to get a handle on attendance, or we're trying to get a handle on test scores. So I kind of wish I would have seen a little bit more of that and been able to actually go see that in action.
I think it's a double-edged sword. There's such a benefit to being in one place for a chunk of your career, and then there's not to be negative, but it can be myopic and just I'm focused on this. This is the thing that I need to concentrate on, which could be Bellbrook schools, could be K through 2. What do you think is Is that the biggest gain out of the experience as a whole, is getting that more global view?
I think so, and I think also it's made me more confident, I think, with like how I'm running things in my room and how I'm helping out my grade level and how I'm trying to relate to, whoever needs help with whatever we need in this building. Obviously, I've never wanted to be an administrator or a principal. I've always wanted to stay in the classroom. But I still wanted to be able to have some leadership opportunities and responsibilities also. So I feel like this is a good balance of that because, like I said, I've never wanted to do curriculum or anything like that. I want to stay right where I am. So, yeah.
All right. What are some of the good things? Tell me a little bit about, and I might just use this elsewhere, some of the fun things going on in kindergarten right now. You guys just finished the scavenger hunt.
Yep.
You had the kindergarten kickoff this year, which was huge.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the fun things happening in kindergarten here.
So right now we're still learning about how school works. We're getting into a routine. For us, I think it's day 15-ish, and I think for the every other day, it's probably day 8. So we're still learning. We've been to special more than once. We've gotten to use some more materials. I go very slowly. So like the other day, we got to actually use whiteboards and chalkboards and all that stuff. So that was a big deal. And then we really don't. Our biggest celebration is in May when we do our kindergarten graduation or our program. That's our biggest thing.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest thing that the kids are the most excited about is that we get to start STEM soon. They're super excited about that because they've been going to we're going to get ready to go to the store shop soon. We've been saving our golden tickets.
Yep.
And we go past it every week, but we haven't been able to spend them yet. So that's coming up soon too. And so just little things that they have not done yet that first grade and second grade has already done if they came to school here. So they're excited about that. And eventually we get into more of where we're doing more with writing. They get really excited to get their journal out. We're doing a new program that some of us are getting ready to start, the Wit and Wisdom program. So those are different books that we have not gotten to observe and see yet with the kids. So we're excited about that. So just all those things. Everything is new to them.
Gotcha.
So everything.
You mentioned Wit and Wisdom, which leads me to a whole new ELA curriculum, K through 12. So how has that changed for you? Because like you said, you're just going to get started with it right now. What are some of the differences, I guess, just kindergarten level for you with how you're teaching these kids to read and write?
Yeah. Well, we were lucky that we've done foundations now for 2 years. So I feel like we have a good handle on that. When we first got that came with a lot of pieces. It was new, a lot of posters, a lot of tiles, magnets, all this stuff. And it was overwhelming, but we went slow. And now I feel like, okay, now we're kind of getting into it with Wit and Wisdom. So we've had one training. We're separating out our materials, figuring out how we want to use it. And then, I don't know, it's going to be exciting because the books they're different than what we've used in the past.
Yeah.
They're more rich with text and pictures. That's different. There's response journals. There's something something different that we've not used before. So the foundations is taking care of like the phonics part of it, but then the Wit and Wisdom is more of the comprehension and getting deeper into that. So I don't know. We'll see how it's going to be. It came with a lot of stuff, so we're still kind of weeding through that. But from what I've seen, the books the books are different. They have different sections. Like we have like farm is a section, and I think continents is a section, and maybe rhyming is another section. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all comes together.
Gotcha. All right. Let's start off with, what is your favorite food?
Haagen-Dazs ice cream, chocolate peanut butter. I am a ice cream snob, and that's my go-to every time.
I go Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
As soon as Haagen-Dazs comes out with an almond milk or an oat milk, I'll be all about it. But how about favorite drink?
Starbucks iced tea, black iced tea, unsweetened, and then I'll sweeten it myself.
Okay.
Or I really like that Dunkin' dragon fruit drink too.
Okay.
Yeah, my favorite.
What is your go-to emoji?
The sideways laughing emoji.
Okay.
Every time.
Gotcha.
I use it probably 20 times a day.
Gotcha. So now we find out if you're all kindergarten at heart, what is your favorite TV or movie? Do we go dark or is it light? Okay.
True crime.
True crime?
True crime.
Anything?
Anything. Fiction true crime, real true crime, or I should say TV true crime like Law and Order, all that. And then like the documentaries. I'm big into documentaries. I'm big into social documentaries. Lots of stuff that you can find on Amazon or free stuff even. Just anything that's a documentary, historical documentary, current documentary, whatever, but true crime by far.
Gotcha. All right. And what is your go-to quote? Something that helps recenter you, or something you say to the kids?
I say this to the parents a lot, and I will put this on Facebook. Childhood is a journey, not a race.
Gotcha. I love that. All right. And if you could go back to the beginning of your career, either at Stephen Bell, starting kindergarten, what would you say to yourself? And would you listen?
I don't know if I would listen, because I really did have great mentors surrounding me when I first started. When I first started teaching first grade, that was the hardest time of my life. Just when you go to college, it teaches you how to teach like the philosophy and the pedagogy.
Mm-hmm.
It does not teach you how to be a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
even though you do your student teaching. So I surrounded myself with great mentors. And the thing that my mentors would always say to me is, pick 2 things and do that well. Pick one thing. Don't do everything. And I did try to listen to that. I mean, it was hard because as a new teacher, you want to do it all. But I would say to myself, if I was a new teacher, I would say, pick 1 or 2 things, and the rest, it's okay. These kids will go on.
Mm-hmm.
They will have a life outside of kindergarten past you, and they're going to be okay.
Gotcha.
You don't have to do everything every day all the time. Do your best every day, and that's enough.
Great. Jennifer, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Of course. Jennifer is spectacular. She was the first person in the district to trust me to write her story, and we've maintained a wonderful relationship since I started here. Okay, on to the ego droppings. This week, sticking with Stephen Bell, we have the 1st and 2nd grade food festival on September 19th for those families, and the football team takes on Alter on Friday night. 6th graders go to Camp Kern September 17th and 18th, and the 7th and 8th graders have a dance on the 20th after school. The following week, the Board of Education has a few meetings that move right into executive session with no action to be taken as they begin the interview process for our new treasurer. As you might know, Kevin Liming is retiring at the end of the calendar year. Those dates are September 23rd and 24th. We will not be recording those meetings or showing them live on video, as we typically do, because they go directly into executive session. Then the following week is homecoming, and we have a lot going on with the Hall of Fame induction, the alumni weekend at the football game, the Powder Puff game, and the dance. You'll want to be around. Once again, thank you for listening. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe so I can keep my job. Just kidding, right? Dr. Kozad? I think he's nodding. I can't tell. Anyway, please go out there and have a good day, and if it can't be a good one, make it a great one.